Welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church on Zoom. My name is Mary Lundholm and I'm your worship associate today. Reverend Sean is in the pulpit this morning, as you've all seen already. She's been on chat. And we are also joined by Beth Syverson, our Director of Music Ministries, in welcoming you this morning. We are also joined by Linda Kramer, who will be our vocalist this morning. Reverend Judy, our Director of Religious Education, has already done a marvelous class for the children earlier this morning, and she will have one for the youth after the service. Now for a little bit of Zoom life etiquette. Remember that if your video is on, we can see you. We have you all on mute, so don't worry, you won't be accidentally unmuting yourself. And I would like to invite you to open the chat side box. And if you haven't already, say hello to us this morning. If you want to become more familiar with Zoom, our OCUUC Geek Squad will be setting up some training videos that they can send to you. So just send them an email at geeksquad@ocuuc.org. I also want to invite you to bring a chalice to light and or a candle to light during our Joys and Sorrow ritual. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation we have a covenant. It's a simple promise that wherever our paths may lead, we will walk them together. We affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships, and we are committed to creating a welcoming community without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people, even with all this physical distancing. I want to extend a special welcome to any visitors. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you will find it here. Now, most of what you need to follow the service will be on the slideshow on your Zoom screen. After the service, we will be placing everyone who remains in Zoom into the Zoom breakout rooms in groups of about 8 for 15 to 20 minutes so that you can have coffee and conversation together. Everyone is welcome to join in, and it's a great way to get to know other people in the congregation. Now, we're going to light our chalice, so if you have one, grab it. The symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. We can light them all together now. And we encourage you to say our unison affirmation, even in the privacy of your own home, knowing that people all over this county and beyond are saying it with you. So let our worship begin with the lighting of our chalice as we say our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. This we affirm together.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Join me. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. One more time. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you.
We welcome you. Each of us brings a separate truth here. We bring the truth of our own life, our own story. We don't come here as empty vessels, but rather we come as full people, people who have our own story and our own truth. We seek to add our truths, to add our stories. This room, this Zoom, is rich with truth, rich with experience. All manner of people are here, the needy, the joyful, the goofy, the frightened, the anxious. We bring all our truths here. May we recognize the truth and the story in everyone's life, and may we hear and honor the truths that we all bring as we gather together. Together we have truths, Together we have a story. Together we are a community.
Some believe it's right to say Jesus when you pray. Some believe Mohammed, Allah, Buddha all the way. Instead of a god or a pantheon of gods up in the sky, I'll honor your choices and you can honor mine. Whether you are red, black, yellow, brown, or white, man with a husband or a woman with a wife, we can debate till the end of time who's wrong or who is right. Or I can honor your choices and you can honor mine. We all want the same things from life. We want peace, love, and prosperity. Can we give up the need to be right? Give the world the present, give the gift of your acceptance. Give the world the present, give the gift of your acceptance. Some say that God's a he, and some say he's a her. Is God right here in our hearts, or out in the universe? Gandhi was a Hindu, Martin Luther King a Christian. Regardless of religion, they knew love was the mission. Call you Israeli and they call me American. I look at you, I don't see a country, I just see my friend. I pray that we're in each other's lives for a long time, because I honor your choices and you honor mine. We all want the same things from life. We want peace, love, and prosperity. Can we give up the need to be right? Give the world the present, give the gift of your acceptance. Give the world the present, give the gift of your acceptance.
Amazing. So part of me just wants to end the service right there, because that was pretty much the sermon. I love that song so much. I think it speaks to so much of us, so many of us, but I do have a whole other story to tell here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Thank you so much, Linda, for that. Now, most of us have a story of how we became a Unitarian Universalist. And maybe you're new today, and this is the beginning of your story. We have different people come from different walks of life in our congregation. So we have lifelong Unitarian Universalists, and others came from different faith traditions. Maybe they were Catholic or Jewish or Muslim, and they, converted, for lack of a better word, to becoming a Unitarian Universalist. And still others, like me, I didn't grow up with any tradition. This is my first tradition, really, that I sunk my teeth into and have completely adopted. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first came to a Unitarian Universalist church, I felt like, wow, I've been a Unitarian Universalist my whole life, and I didn't know it. Has anybody ever else felt that way when you first came? Yeah, thank you. And you know, the thing is, that's what I realized is for my whole life, for the first 40 years of my life, I've been searching for Unitarian Universalism, and I didn't know it, right? Because, you know, from a very young age, I was drawn to spirituality. I was drawn to all sorts of kinds of things. I had experiences that I couldn't explain, and I was fascinated by all the experiences that other people had. So, for example, as a child, I was exposed to everything from, spirit, you know, sweat lodges, spiritual sweat lodges, to Russian Orthodox services, which, by the way, most people have to stand in a Russian Orthodox, which is the one thing I remember as a child. I remember my mother in particular, she was into the power of crystals. So I got exposed to that. And I remember being exposed to, through some friends in grade school, the Holy Rolling Baptists were there. And honestly, I loved all of this. I thought it was all fascinating. Then later, as a youth, I tried Christianity, but I felt a lot of its beliefs made me want to suspend my love of science, and I couldn't do that. And I couldn't get behind a God that would torture an innocent, peace-loving man for no reason except to sort of make me somehow feel guilty to believe in him. That just didn't make sense to me, and I hope that doesn't insult anybody. That was how I felt about it. That was my, like, I just don't get that. It didn't make sense to me. Then in my 20s, I was going through a really tough time. And so I felt very disconnected with who I was. I felt like I was becoming cold and distant to everyone that I loved. I kept asking myself all sorts of questions. Who was I? Who did I want to become? And so I was looking for a spiritual community. I felt like I was starving for it, but I didn't know where to go. I thought, okay, I'll try the Quakers. That was the next one, the Quakers. You know, really nice people. Hard to argue with Quakers, right? They're so nice. But I found that, like, sitting in silence, I needed more dialogue. I needed something more there, and I just couldn't quite do that. There was no one to dialogue. It was just me, because that's what, you know, Quakers do. They sit in silence. So, all right, thought, okay, I'm going to try Judaism. Again, really nice people. Love those, Reformed Judaism. But I also found that as I was sitting there trying to follow along in Hebrew at times, that they have a story of hardship and struggle that wasn't my story. It didn't feel authentic to me. And so I really struggled with that. And I wanted a place where I could also just embrace all of the different teachings that were out there. So then I went on to Buddhism and Wicca. I loved both. I sort of found Buddhism a little bit, I love the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. But I found that as a community that was fairly patriarchal, kind of you sit on the floor, listen to someone talking for 2 hours, didn't quite work for me. And then I found on Wicca too matriarchal. And those of you who know her in Wicca, you know what I'm talking about. But I loved a lot of what they had to say, and I loved a lot of the spiritual practice that they had. By this time, I'd settled on shamanism as a spiritual practice that really sang to me and gave me nourishment, but it's a very solitary practice. And I was drawn to being in community. In fact, I was yearning, I was starving, I was thirsting for it, and I didn't know where to find it. Then one day, I'm talking to my boss. Love is the spirit of this church. That's not what I want. Never mind. Sorry. So one day I'm talking to my boss at my work about my yearning, okay? My thirst for spiritual community and my frustration at being able to find one. And she asked me what I believed, and I said, well, I find wisdom in all traditions, or something like that. And she's like, oh, you're a Unitarian Universalist. And I'm like, a what? I don't, what does that mean? I never heard of it. Now, in all of my searching, and you can tell, I've done some searching, okay? I could never once had heard about Unitarian Universalism. So she grew up Unitarian Universalist. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go to the churches in the area. I was like, there's multiple churches in my area even, and I didn't even know about that. And I have to admit, I was pretty skeptical. I mean, really? A church where everyone is welcome? Where all beliefs are welcome? Oh yeah, well, what about LGBTQ people? Oh, they're welcome too, huh? Atheists. Oh, they're welcome too. Okay, yeah, well, what about shamanism, huh? Oh, they're welcome too. Wait, what's the catch? Like, I kept waiting for something that would say, gotcha. So it was so amazing to me when I started going to church, my first church in Woodinville, Washington, and I heard this Buddhist minister quoting Martin Luther King, Jesus, Buddha, and saying, blessed be, all in the same service. Like, I was like blown away. I was stunned. He didn't tell me what to believe. He invited me to ask questions about who I wanted to be and what I believed. Who did I want to be in this world? It was a place where it invited in science and mystery, all of it together. I couldn't believe I had found a place that welcomed all of me. And when I sat down and I thought about it, I had a little bit of a bizarre reaction beyond the like, wow, this is so cool, was that I got kind of pissed. I was really angry. Like for a few days, I was like, I can't believe this. Where were you? Where were you my whole life when I needed you? When I was thirsting, starving for a religious community that welcomed all of me. I mean, I've said this before. I lived on Beacon Hill in Boston for 2 years, which is where our denomination is headquartered. And I walked daily on my way to work by a Unitarian Universalist church for 2 years, okay? And didn't hear about it. Where were y'all? You've been around for hundreds of years. Where were y'all? Part of it, I think we don't get that we have a saving message, a message that saves people from that starving, from that yearning to belong, to grow, to become a place you can find nowhere else. This message in part is everyone, all of you is loved and are lovable. And when we say everyone is welcome here, it's not just LGBTQ people or a political party or a gender or beliefs or skin color or mental health. It's everything. It's all of it. All the parts of you are welcome here. Do y'all get how radical that is? How incredibly radical that is. Think about it. We're the only religion that does this. Seriously, the only religion that does this. Every other religion claims a single founder or a single belief. We don't. We acknowledge all those wise people, those founders of the various religions that came forth to try to bring peace and justice to the world. We acknowledge the wisdom that comes from all traditions, whether it's religious or secular. And you know, a lot of churches, synagogues, and mosques, and all of those places, they do social justice work, but not as radically welcoming as we are. We are building something so unique, so precious, so special, and we don't talk about it. It's my #1 frustration with Unitarian Universalism. You know, when I first got to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church, I was determined that we were going to do something about that. So I asked that we form this committee called the Visible Church, okay? So I was like, we need to be visible. People need to see us. No one knows what a Unitarian Universalist is. They drive by, they see our sign. They don't know that we're anything different from a Methodist or a Pentecostal. That means nothing to people. And unfortunately, though, nothing really happened. There wasn't a huge amount of interest, and I think because people didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to make this happen. And we got caught up in a financial crisis in my first couple of years after the move and everything like that. Though I do want to give a shout out to my buddy, Randy Koeller, who feels as passionately about this as I do. And he's done a lot to try to get this going. So bless his heart. So, but I believe we needed a church-wide plan. So here's what I do. Now, I'm not someone who says I believe in the power of prayer, but I'm saying I put it out to the universe. Okay, universe, come on, give me a marketing person. I was also looking for a graphic designer. We got Christy. So just saying. So I put it out to the universe. Like, universe, can you send me a marketing person? Can you someone to help me here? Someone who can help me let the world know how awesome we are. And then one day, it was an ordinary Sunday, a little over a year ago, standing outside my office door, when I hear this soft voice with a New York accent. Reverend Sean, I'd like to talk to you about this church. I love what you're doing with it. And I think you have such a great community here. My name's Rob Gordon, and I'm a marketing expert. I like to help other people know about this wonderful church. What do you think? Okay, apologies to Rob for the bad New York accent, but I seriously, I think clouds opened up. I was so excited, so happy. So hallelujah. So we got going. So for a year, Deborah Quam, our president, Elise James, who runs our Facebook page, and Nina Smith, another board member who's passionate about Unitarian Universalism, and myself, we gathered to explore and come up with a new marketing message, a tagline, if you will, words that could easily describe who we are and make them to perhaps want to explore more about who we are. And the question that he kept asking is, what makes us unique? Not just from other churches, that's definitely part of it, but also even from other UU churches. This is something that's particular to us in many ways. And we looked at everything. We looked at demographics and past church surveys and town hall meeting notes. We brainstormed and then we brainstormed more, and we came up with some really wonderful things. We built a number of different messages or taglines. Now, these are not mission or vision statements, but we wanted something simple that told the world who we are. We came back with a few of them and sent out a survey to the congregation asking for feedback, and there was a clear winner. And last fall, the board approved it. And now by this time, Rob has moved on to working onto our website, and Sarah Hunter, our event planner extraordinaire, along with her team, Nina and Ulysses, were planning a big blowout. So we were planning, we're gonna have banners, we're gonna invite community leaders and the media, everything. And then the pandemic hit. And we're like, oh, darn. But we decided that we were tired of waiting for this to happen. So today we are launching our new tagline, and I'm here to introduce it. Here to introduce it are a bunch of people just like you. Love is the spirit of this church.
I believe in a higher power.
I love that social justice is present in every one of our services.
I love my church because they take me as I am.
It's the warm, embracing community.
Free to think.
Free to believe. And free to love.
I like church because I get to see my friends there.
I find God in our 7 principles.
I like that our church has room for science.
Sometimes to question is the answer.
Loving atheists sing together.
I love the friendships and bonds I've created at Camp Bentonville Pines.
OCUUC brings liberal religious excellence to Orange County.
I believe that everybody should be loved.
I'm an atheist practicing religious humanism.
I'm a panentheist, and I believe God really is love.
I'm a spiritual person, and what I love the most about my UU community are the sermons.
I love hanging out with friends.
At Orange Coast, you meet the best people.
That's where we met.
Yes, we do.
Many different beliefs.
One loving community.
How awesome is that? So here it is. Many different beliefs, one loving community. Huge shout out to Sarah Hunter and Nina Smith who put this together pretty last minute. And thank you for all of you who donated your videos. So now imagine this tagline, many different beliefs, one loving community. Imagine this from the point of view of someone who's never been to a Unitarian Universalist community before, knows nothing about us. If you were to tell someone something about this church to help them understand who we are, what would you say to them? What's something you love about this community that you would want them to know? I invite you in a moment to just consider that, just as a moment of kind of contemplation. If you were to tell something about this community that you love, what would you want them to know? And if you have an answer, I invite you to write that in the chat. loving all of this. I'm loving all of it. It's amazing. Yep, all those things. Many windows, one light. I love it. Well, we have another treat for you. Linda Kramer and Stacy Smith, our dynamic duo of songwriting and singing, have come up with another wonderful chant, a song for us to sing on this wonderful occasion. And matter of fact, they're such a dynamic duo that I'm starting to think about calling them either Lindacy or Stinda. So I just want to say shout out to Lindacy or Stinda. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. So let us sing along with them in these beautiful lyrics.
Many different beating hearts, one loving people, many different walks of faith, one loving sanctuary, many different roads to truth, one loving open home, many different beliefs, one loving community, many different beating hearts, one loving people, many different walks of faith, one loving sanctuary, many different roads to truth, one loving open home, many different beliefs, one loving community.
How awesome is that? How awesome. You know, when I was a new Unitarian Universalist, I think this was my first year in seminary, I was all gung-ho and excited, and a friend of mine I was having a party, and he said, you know, there's this friend of mine that wants to meet you. She has questions about Unitarian Universalism. And I was like, oh, cool, excellent. I could talk about this, I could do this. When she met, I remember we were at this party, and she plopped herself right down next to me, and she didn't hesitate. She's like, so, okay, I have a lot of friends that are Unitarian Universalists, and they go to that big church downtown, and they do all kinds of social justice stuff, and they explore their beliefs, but here's my question for you. I can do all those things myself. Why do I need a church? So I was thinking about, like, that's a good question. I mean, to a certain extent, she's right? I mean, you could. I mean, that's what I did before I found Unitarian Universalism. I was exploring all these things on my own. But why did I want to be in community? Now, the reason why I like our new byline, many different beliefs, one loving community, is because it's about building the beloved community, right? The beloved community is this ideal articulated so beautifully by the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. as a place where everyone is welcome. Now, originally, he was talking about race, right? But I think that if he were alive today, he would make it about all of it, all the traits that divide people. All are welcome in the beloved community. And here's the thing, you can't build the beloved community by yourself, right? By definition, you need to be in community to do that. I mean, yes, we can all go into the world and work for justice, but we also kind of unconsciously, we self-select who we hang out with, our friends, our family, even where we work and the jobs that we do. In order to build the beloved community, you have to be more intentional about being around people that are different from you and learning to welcome, love, and nurture and accept those that are different from you. Church is where we practice the beloved community intentionally. If we do try to do it on our own, there's nothing wrong with that. I do think that we are also exposed, though, to our own sort of sounding board, right? We need community to hear other ideas. And it's not easy to do that, right? Because we all want to be right. We all want to be the one who is right. Yeah. There's a wonderful philosophy and theology called Ubuntu. It's an African Zulu. Started as a philosophy, and then Desmond Tutu took it in and made it a theology. Now, Ubuntu is translated as I am because we are, right? And Michael Eze, who summarizes the core of Ubuntu, he's a philosopher, he said, a person is a person through other people's. It strikes an affirmation of one's humanity through recognition of an other as his or her uniqueness and difference. And there's such truth in that, right? It's when we see ourselves reflected in the eyes of others that we gain self-awareness. It's when we encounter someone different that we know who we are by those differences as well as by what we have in common. Community is where we practice all of this. And we need to practice. I mean, we're not a perfect beloved community, right? That's the ideal. We fall down, and sometimes we fall down rather spectacularly, but we try to practice with love and forgiveness. Because we're going to stumble, we're going to fumble, but we're going to get better. And that's what we do in community. Many different beliefs, one loving community. We practice with love. We practice accepting one another and encouraging spiritual growth. We practice it when we affirm the inherent dignity and worth of every person. We practice it when we work for a world of peace, liberty, and justice for all. We practice it when we live all of our Unitarian Universalist principles. And the only way to do that is in community, as diverse as possible, with lots of differences of beliefs, loves, ways of being in the world. Now, I used to ask people, so why did you come to a UU church, Unitarian Universalist Church? I thought maybe people came for the same reason I did, which was a place to explore, to be in community. And yeah, there's some there, but when I asked people, I got other answers like, well, I came for my children. I wanted them to have exposure to other ideas. Or I came to find friends, a community. Some people came because they wanted to be involved in social justice, for example. Most people would say, I was looking for a like-minded community. Think about that. You could have gone to other communities. There are lots of social justice organizations out there if that was what you wanted to get involved in. And yes, we do a lot of that here. But I think that if you ask yourself what criteria you were looking for in a community, in a spiritual community, what criteria were you looking for? I'm willing to bet that almost everyone would say something about being an inclusive, affirming, accepting, loving, all of those things, right? Because the truth is we're not like-minded. We all have different beliefs, different personalities, even different politics, believe it or not, we do. What we are is a like-hearted community. We came here because we wanted a place, a community that loves us, all of us, and that would love others that were different from us too. It was my #1 criteria for a church. I could not go to a church that didn't accept my beliefs and those of other people, that didn't accept and nurture the different ways that people love or express their gender, or didn't allow for differences of politics even. There was no way I was going to go to a church that was not loving, period. And being loving is not just about how we treat each other here at church, but it's how we treat the world, how we look out for the most vulnerable. It's about how we're called to be in the world as all-season love warriors, which is my favorite Cornel West quote. Take for a moment, just imagine a world without Unitarian Universalism. Now seriously, imagine that this church and its ideals, this denomination didn't exist. First of all, there'd be no church home for me. I'd probably still be lost, not knowing where to go. Wouldn't be a minister. But mostly I think the world would have lost out. Because we're kind of the great experiment among religions. Like seriously, like I've talked to colleagues in other religions, they're like, okay, how do you do this? How do you have atheists next to people who believe something else? Like, and they wonder, can we actually survive? Can there be a church that is not bound by a belief system, but rather by love? We are an evolutionary leap in religions. We're the future of religion. I truly believe this. We are the future of religion. Every day we teach the world that you can live in harmony with people who think, act, and behave differently. Many different beliefs, one loving community. It's not just a saving message for individuals or for our church. I believe it's a saving message for the world. Imagine if this was the tagline for the world. Okay, the tagline for planet Earth, many different beliefs, one loving community. How many wars would dissolve in an instant, hatreds and fears? You know, Linda, she sang these lyrics by India Arya. Says, we all want the same things from life. We want peace, love, and prosperity. But can we give up our need to be right? Give the world a present. Give the gift of your acceptance. We Unitarian Universalists are working on giving up our need to be right. And our gift to the world is our acceptance of you and them and everyone that is out there. And it's a saving message. Because here's the thing, I don't want to convert anyone to be a Unitarian Universalist, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember being in high school and being approached many times. I wasn't just high school, it was even college. Hello, can I share my testimony with you? And I'd be like, no, go away, I don't want that. I don't want to convert anybody. You know what? There are many good religions out there that are doing wonderful work in the world. The decision to choose to follow one religious path, one spiritual path, is perfectly fine. That's a lovely thing to do. As Linda's saying, I can honor your choices and you can honor mine. But I do want to save people who are like me 15 years ago, even 30 years ago. People like you, people are out there, they're thirsting, they're starving, yearning for what we have to offer. And they're asking, where are you? Where are you? Let's show them that we're here. Let's put ourselves out there in the world. It isn't about shoving ideas down people's throats, but give them an opportunity to just know us. So for example, like if something in this service makes you go, wow, that's kind of cool, post it on Facebook, use our tagline, tell a friend, hey, I learned something kind of cool in church today. Give me some credit. Or I heard the most beautiful music in our church today. Just letting people know. You don't have to convert anybody. And if you're still stymied about how to talk about Unitarian Universalism and about who we are, I am at the last big questions class that I'm having on May 12th at 7 o'clock on Zoom. I'm talking about what does it mean to be a Unitarian Universalist? And we're going to talk about this to some extent. And if there's interest, I'll put together a class about how to put together an elevator speech. But I think our tagline pretty much says it all. Many different beliefs, one loving community. You know, most people come to Unitarian Universalists because they heard about it from someone that they know. Like I'm thinking about my boss, right? Here was somebody I liked and admired, and she told me about it. But I had known her for 6 months before she mentioned it to me. Now, the funny thing is that we also, there was another guy that we worked with who was Mormon. Lovely guy. I knew within the first week he was Mormon. He was not pushy at all. He just talked about how much he loved his church. Now we're going to be using this byline, this marketing message everywhere. We'll be having signage, everything when we get back. But I think it's going to take everybody. I think it's going to take everybody putting our wonderful community out there into the world. Because many different beliefs, one loving community is a life-saving message. I believe it will save this world. And right now there are people who are Unitarian Universalists and they don't even know it. And they're wondering where we are. Let's show them that we are here and that they are welcome. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
I encourage you to sing along. No one can hear you unless they're in your own house. But even if you don't like to sing, just mouth the words so it looks like we're all doing this together, sing these words together. To be humble, to be kind. It is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend. To give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. To be bold, to be brave. It is the thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The dangers in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. Tell me what it is that you see. A world that's full of endless possibilities. And heroes don't look like they used to. They look like you do. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting. That means our members and friends raise all of the funds of our operating budgets, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and your talents. OCUUC amplifies this spirit of generosity by sharing 1/2 of the loose plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month, we are supporting Stand Up for Kids. This is a wonderful organization that helps children, well, young adults who are homeless and in need of aid. Now, there are 3 ways that you can give to OCUUC online. The first is through our website, www.ocuuc.org. The second is through an app called Give. You can download it on the App Store from your smartphone, and once you set it up, you can use it for any of your online giving, including your pledge. The third method is by texting 714-942-1131. Simply text to that number and in the message, type the amount. As always, thank you for your generosity as the offering is given and received.
may not all agree how this world came to be. By grand design, coincidence, a big bang, or 7 days. But we bask in its beauty. We know it sustains us, so we're called to protect our earth always. And we know what we do matters, bringing meaning to this mystery. For like ripples on a pond, our actions carry far beyond us. We're connected, connected intricately. We may not know for sure all that's right or is wrong, without the book of answers, all in stone from God above. But we rise up for justice, compassion for all, and we'll learn our first lesson, be love. And we know what we do matters, bringing meaning to this mystery. For like ripples on a pond, our actions carry far beyond us. We're connected, connected intricately. We may not know if God is a wish or is real, if life beyond this life awaits evermore or here again. But we learn from past wisdom, from scholars and saints, and we live the best lives that we can. And we know what we do matters, bring meaning to this mystery. For like ripples on a pond, our actions carry far beyond us. We're connected, connected intricately. From many faiths and many paths, with minds that question how and why, with open hearts and open hands, we rise together. And we know what we do matters, bringing meaning to this mystery. For like ripples on a pond, our actions carry far beyond us. We're connected, connected intricately.
Now we are going to sing our song of Thanksgiving, We Gather Together. And this song is also written by our wondrous team of Lynn Stacy, and it puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts that we share.
We gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Now is that time in our service where We all honor those important events, those profound moments in our lives, and you are invited, one and all, whether you're a member, a friend, a visitor, everyone is welcome to participate in this. So I'd like to have you just take a few deep breaths and think about in the last days, weeks, or hours, if there was a profound joy or sorrow that you would like to share. If you'd like to share it with the congregation, I invite you to write it in the chat, and I will read them out loud. I also invite you to gather a candle. I've got one here already, and light it on behalf of all the joys and sorrows that are here today. So Bonnie Wagner did send me one early this morning. She wanted to give a wonderful shout out and thanks to Sarah Jones for sending her the note and card this last week. She says it came at a needful time and that Bonnie is not feeling well today. And Sarah Hunter gives a thank you for friends Loretta and Dean for editing the video and everyone who sent in their videos. I'm glad, Scott, that you found the service was a true joy. Me too. Jolynn has a candle of joy and hope for all the first responders, the grocery workers, the delivery people, and the helpers in the world. Amen. We have some of them here, right here in our congregation. And Euless, thank you for the technology for allowing her to reconnect with a longtime friend. Amen. And Tom and Nancy have some good news that they learned that the SBA has approved our paycheck protection loan. We'll use the funds for the payment can be forgiven as part of a grant. This is a really good news for us as a church. So thank you, Tom, for letting us know that. That's wonderful. And the Hauser family, joy because she found her church. Hey, Tatiana. And thank you, Francie. And Stacy said, it's a joy to be creating music again with the resplendent Linda Kramer. She is resplendent, isn't she? She's awesome. And so are you, Stacy. If I've missed any, forgive me. Well, there's Karen says, joy for the members of the church with the technical wherewithal that contribute to making the great marketing video. Amen to that. And for everybody who dedicates to keep this church going. Carolina says, I'm joyful for a new project at work and the opportunity to make an impact on the unemployment population of California. Amen, Carolina. And Justin. Oh, that's Justin who said that, so go Justin. Oh, Valerie, yes, I hope your computer gets better. It's in repair. Oh, and Maureen tells me I missed Jean Chris' sorrow, so I'm sorry, Jean. Oh, Jean, I'm sorry. Your Uncle Roger, age 94, he passed away quietly in hospice care. Oh, Jean, I'm sorry. Well, 94. That's beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Let us hold all these joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. This is a prayer I wrote for an interfaith gathering. God of many names, be with us as we honor the best in you and so the best in us. God of many names, come to us in our churches, our temples, our synagogues, our mosques, our groves, our centers, our homes. Teach us that you are found everywhere. God of many names, come to us in our hearts, fill us with the love that unites all of humankind, that same love which gave us your peace-loving sons and daughters, that we might know you through them. Teach us that you are found within all people. God of many names, come to us here and now. Help us to know you better through each other, through the gifts of all our traditions. Teach us that your wisdom is in all faiths. Amen.
Let us join together. There we go. Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, we extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we will carry in our hearts until we are together again. The most important feature of this congregation is the people who make up our community. As Unitarian Universalists, we embrace diversity of thought and person, and so we build the beloved community. When we gather together, virtually or otherwise, it makes all of the difference. So before we leave this service, please write us a comment in the chat and share something that you appreciated about today's service. And if you are a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to write in the chat your name and where you are from. If you'd like to know more about the church, please see our church website for ways that you can get involved and to sign up for our weekly email called The Blast at OCUUC.org. If you would like to know more about membership, please contact us at membership@OCUUC.org. Our community is enriched by its visitors, guests, and friends, and we hope that you find a spiritual home here. If anyone has a question about Unitarian Universalism or how to get involved, please contact Reverend Sean at minister@OCUUC.org. She can assist you in connecting to the congregation. We want everyone to feel a part of our community despite this physical distancing. So please reach out and we'll extend our hands back to you. After the benediction, we will have a short period where everyone can wave and say hello. Then those who remain will be put into small Zoom breakout groups for 20 minutes, if you so choose. We invite you to check in and get to know the people in your group and welcome any visitors.
All right, announcements. You can see we've got so much going on. It's so amazing. All of this is on Zoom. Just so many things going on at this church. They're here. A big thing that, of course, we're in the middle of our pledge drive. We have to put our budget together. It's my weekly thing. Get your pledge in. Here's one of the things that people aren't realizing. They're paying their pledge sometimes on the website, which is great. But we actually need you to fill out the pledge card, which tells us for budgeting purposes what we can expect, what you're pledging for the year. So if you haven't done the pledge card, we would love it if you could do that as well. So thank you, please get that in. We're just about ready to put our budget together, so we need everything in there. And thank you, Sandy Martin, our pledge drive chair, has put a link in the chat. If you need it, just go and do that right now even. The other thing I just want to point out that I am going on a staycation next week. And by that, obviously I'm going to be here, but after 2 months of intense trying to get everything up and running, I'm just going to take a little bit of a break. But I will be around for pastoral care, so if you need me, I am here, not going anywhere. Just going to be probably binge watching Netflix for a while. So just resting my brain, as it were. So if you need anything, just reach out, but I won't be checking email on a regular basis. Best way is to text or phone call me if you have a pastoral emergency. But of course, we also have our pastoral care associates like Lori Kluge and Judith and Bertie that are there for you. So that's it. You can see all sorts of wonderful things that are going on there. Let us join Beth in singing our benediction.
Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe. each other. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me. Be safe, be well, you mean the world to me.
All right. After this, after a moment where we're gonna have everybody have their videos there and everybody can wave and say hello, we're gonna put you into our virtual coffee time, and we have a conversation prompt for you. What's one thing about this service that you appreciated? What's something that you appreciate about this service? I know I'm really appreciating that video and song right now. All right, I love you all. Be safe, be well. The service is over. Let our service continue.